What movie did you go into with no expectations and ended up really enjoying? Our kids were little, so our life was insane. It was one of our first babysitter hires and date nights. My wife and I simply showed up at the theater and chose something called Galaxy Quest. Best 2 hours I'd had in years, and still a favorite just for the great time it provided us. Galaxy Quest is so damn good. Look, I have one job on this lousy ship. IT's stupid, but I'm gonna do IT. 21 Jump Street. I was neither a fan of Jonah Hill or Channing Tatum, but so many of my students loved it I decided to give it a try. I was definitely not disappointed. 22 Jump Street as well. I just thought they did this already, how could this possibly work a second time? Then came Schmidt fucked the captain's daughter and I was laughing just as hard as Channing Tatum during that scene. The Edge of Tomorrow. Was totally not expecting to enjoy the movie as much as I thought I would. Alien Groundhog Day. Yeah, the comedy in there was surprising. Getting to murder Tom Cruise daily, that would be fun. Big TC fan BTW. I saw The Matrix without seeing a single trailer for it. My friend thought it would be a good movie to see on drugs. Absolutely. The Matrix sounds like a cliched answer now, but at the time I was all like WTF. Keanu Reeves hasn't been in anything good since Speed, let's just watch some other dumb movie out at the time that I can't even remember. Will Smith talked about why he turned down the role of Neo and his reasoning was basically this. The whole pitch from the directors just sounded WTF. The latest Jumanji film. Expected a cash grab and instead left thoroughly entertained and awaiting a sequel. Jack Black deserves an Oscar for being able to so convincingly play a teenage girl. Agreed. Expected crap and was laughing my ass off the whole first half. It fell apart a bit in the second half but still very entertaining. Zombieland. Right? Oh great, another movie with Michael Cera's evolved form. Oh shit, this movie's awesome. The Lego Movie. I thought it was going to be like a kid's movie but I actually really enjoyed it. I had heard it was good and came into it during the cowboy bar scene. It was a free HBO weekend thing and I had randomly turned to the channel. So the main character is talking with the gal in Spanish with subtitles and I'm thinking this is actually pretty good. I don't have any context and figure they're in a Mexican bar town. Whatever. After about 5 minutes of this, and me still being impressed on how good it is, I'm thinking they're taking the Spanish thing a bit far. I had tuned to the HBO Spanish channel, found it in English and loved it. The Fifth Element. The original trailers were just some title graphics and the phrase "The Fifth Element, it must be found." All my friends and I knew going in were Bruce Willis, science fiction. If anything, we thought it was going to be serious in tone. We walked out saying WTF did we just see, but we loved it. When I was at university my professors told us that if you watch a trailer for a movie show and at the end of it have no fucking idea what the movie is about, that will be a good movie. If you come away from the trailer knowing the entire plot of the movie, it's not gonna be good. I've been testing this ever since to see if it holds up. I was really happy that I watched Arrival without knowing anything about it beyond aliens and linguistics. If you also don't know anything about it, go watch it. Whiplash. Really didn't expect anything going in, just found myself really enjoying it. That guy should play a drill sergeant. It was pretty good, just not quite my tempo. What am I kidding, that last scene was fucking amazing. Ex Machina. Went in just assuming it was some fun new movie about robots, didn't realize it was gonna be such a mind trip. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Always thought it was just some chick flick but man that's got to be one of the funniest comedies I've seen. Shaun of the Dead. Expected another unfunny scary movie style spoof. I have never laughed so much at a film before or since. Unfortunately it kinda set the bar a bit high so I didn't enjoy the rest of the Cornetto trilogy as much. I mean, Hot Fuzz, though. Was gonna say this. I enjoyed Shaun of the Dead, watched it on Netflix last night funnily enough, but I saw a trailer for Hot Fuzz while at cinema and thought it looked shite and that all the funny scenes would have probably just been seen. How fucking wrong was I? Hot Fuzz is easily one of my all-time favorite films and I have watched it well over 20 times. Anytime I can decide on something to watch, I stick it on. Suffering insomnia. On it goes. I love it. Guardians of the Galaxy, I knew nothing about them beforehand and hadn't even seen the trailer, but there was nothing else to see, and my girlfriend, though the raccoon in the poster was cute. The soundtrack on that film is truly the awesome list. It's so incredible and something that is almost impossible to pull off in any other movie. They have these great transitions into alien scenarios. Instead of having a fish out of water character whine about not knowing what's going on and then having someone explain to the camera what's happening, they play easily recognizable music that triggers a sense of nostalgia in the audience. It grounds the audience in something familiar so that they feel okay with seeing something that's otherwise incomprehensible. And there's an in-universe reason for why we're hearing these songs, and it's vitally important to the plot. It's nothing short of amazing in a way that very few other movies can barely approach. Batman Begins. The previous installment, Batman and Robin, was the only movie I've walked out of halfway through, so I went into Batman Begins having seen zero trailers and hearing nothing about it. I just assumed it couldn't possibly be worse than the last one and was dragged to see it by some friends. It just blew me away. Cabin in the Woods. Yup, a friend told me to see it, despite my hating horror movies, because it was a meta horror movie, whatever that meant. I went into it knowing nothing but the title. My mind was blown. I loved it. Ditto, and I felt the same about Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. John Wick. I got early screening tickets, so there were no reviews out to the public. I expected it to be one of those fun action flicks that I would forget about in 2 weeks. I didn't expect one of the greatest action movies of all time. Iron Man. I've never read comic books or been into comic book movies. I was looking into watching a new movie series and decided to give Marvel a chance. I watched Iron Man and was instantly hooked. I love the MCU now, and this was last year, by the way. I'm hooked. I just wish I had the chance of seeing more MCU movies in the theater other than the 3 this year. Logan. Thought it was gonna be a horrible Zman movie. Turns out it really was a gut wrench. Good job to the person who directed. Oh sweet Jesus, was that the Wolverine film I had been waiting for ever since the X-Men movies were a thing. It was gritty, held nothing back, and really got to the core of the tragedy that is Wolverine's life. My friends and I went into the first Pirates of the Caribbean as a joke. We were all blown away. I loved the first 3, but the rest I only watched because I love Captain Barbossa. I felt like they had just totally stripped Jack down to drunk pirate with no personality or any of the qualities that redeemed him. But I'll still watch him if Barbossa's in it, lol. This was my biggest complaint with the sequels. He went from being the smartest pirate on the seas to a dumb drunk who was only there to scream and try to make comedic moments. My biggest complaint was they made him the main character. Part of Jack's charm is how he plays off the other character. He's both the drunk comedic relief and this enigmatic badass, with the normal-ish main characters reacting to him. That kind of dynamic only works if you keep Jack at the edge of the spotlight. It's the whole don't show too much of the monster. Jack works because we don't know a lot about him. He's this chaotic force that either helps or hinders the main characters depending on his whims. But when you turn him into a main character, in stories we have to have some way to connect to main characters. Once you make someone like him a main character, you're then stuck with fleshing him out, which ruins his allure, of leaving him enigmatic, which makes him flat. It's exactly what happened in the Riddick movies. Honestly, Ant-Man, it's not my favorite movie, especially compared to other Marvel films, but I wasn't expecting much, but it was actually pretty solid with a lot of great moments that still stand out 4 years later. Ant-Man and its sequel work because the stakes are low. Every superhero movie involving some existential threat to the universe gets sold. Ant-Man having to get back to his house before the FBI realize he is breaking his house arrest is a much more relatable and interesting goal. Zootopia. I saw it because what I actually wanted to see wasn't playing at the theater, and I was already there, so why not? It might be my favorite animated movie now. It really surprised me how deep the message was. I mean, yeah, obviously you've got the tired old don't be racist message, but I've never seen a kids movie do sometimes you're racist without meaning to be. Just try to do better. Gattaca. Never saw a trailer, knew nothing about it except everything that was on the movie poster. Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, why not? Walked out mind blown. Kick-Ass. Holy crap, it looked like a jokes little teen movie. Boy was I wrong. But it was insane. One of my favorite non-MCU action movies. Kingsman. I didn't have any interest in it. My date and I were in line to get tickets to see Jupiter Ascending when she changed her mind and asked if we could see Kingsman instead. It was the best movie I saw that year. Into the Spider-Verse. Was never into Spider-Man, but after seeing that movie I can get why. 5/5 art direction. 2. Mad Max Fury Road. I had no idea what Mad Max even was before walking into the theater. Moon. I was specifically told by one of my friends to watch it with no knowledge of what it's about. Turned out to be such good advice. The Emperor's New Groove. My wife and mom wanted to go. I hadn't heard much about it. They still tease me about how much louder I'll laugh than anyone else, including kids, in the theater. Obviously, it was an instant classic and still one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. Fight Club. Somehow watched it in 2016 without it being spoiled for me. It's now my favorite movie of all time. You didn't get spoiled because of rule number 1.